Alright guys, so today we're going to talk about hand pollinating tomato blossoms so that you can save pure seed. Now today I'm going to be taking these blooms right here and isolating them. This one is open, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and pluck this one off, because there is a chance that that one had cross-pollinated. These are the bags that I'm using. They're organza pouches, and these were they were $1 at the dollar store. They're actually sold over where the wedding favors are sold, and this is what they look like. You've probably seen them many times. Little drawstring. And these things are just the best for seed saving. So all you're going to do, you just isolate the blooms that you would like to save pure seed from. And for this plant, I wanted to go ahead and isolate these. As you can see, there are several buds there. There's all these down here, this one, and then even more right here, and more coming up. So this is an excellent branch for saving seed. All you do is slide it over the top like that. Pull the string, and voila, you're ready to go. When trying to identify blooms that you'd like to save seed from, you want to see if the cluster is open or not. If the flower is already open like this, it's too late to isolate it. It's probably already been pollinated, and generally they are self-pollinated, so usually you don't have to worry about crossing so much, but it does happen. So if you're trying to sell seed, or if you want to guarantee that that is what you're growing next year whenever you save seed from the fruit, then you want to isolate them. Now, as you can see, I have all these tomatoes down here. They were not isolated. These guys are for eating, so I'm not worried about that there. But I would like to save some seed from some blooms up here, so I'm just looking for some ideal buds to cover. It looks like this cluster may be okay. I may not get very many tomatoes with seeds, but I can cover that cluster. Alright, so I think I'm going to remove these two flowers right here. I know it's terrible to see blooms come off, but I want to save seed, so we gotta do what we gotta do. Then we just take the organza bag, and slip it over the blooms like so. Now it can be a little tricky with these micro dwarf varieties because there's not a whole lot of space to work with. You can see how small the plant is. Well, that was a challenge, but I got it on there. I have a lot of plants that are in full bloom here, so I'm not finding a whole lot of closed flowers because they're all just prolifically fruiting, and it seems to be that most of them are pollinated and growing as of now. They're just, let me see if I can zoom out some. There are tomatoes just everywhere, all over this plant. I will have to show you guys after I'm done. But on this plant right here, I'm going to go ahead and cover this entire cluster, this whole growing tip, because I have all these blooms here. Let me pinch this one. And then I have all these coming up here. So this is a great opportunity to just bag the whole thing. Alright, so these right here are the last ones I've got to bag. I've run out of bags, so all I'm going to do is just pop this bag over this whole leaf. Pushed all the little flower buds in and closed it up. Alright, so this one that I just bagged, Pygmy Micro Dwarf. I believe this one was Pinocchio Orange here that's bagged. This one right here was Chibico Micro. And then right there we have Orange Hat Micro. And before I forget, this is where I tied off the blooms. There's only one or two here that's going to be a tomato. So as I said before, I'm gonna have limited seed, but I have removed the bag and put a tie on it to mark it so that I know which ones are pure seed. Super simple. So it's been a while since I've shown you guys the tomato plants, and I wanted to go ahead and show you guys the ridiculous amount of fruits I have on this Micro Dwarf tomato tower. It is absolutely amazing, and you'll see so many more than you did in the previous clips because it's been about, I'm gonna have to say it's been about a week or close to a week since I filmed that video. So check out all the little baby tomatoes, and some of them I have already tied off. I've taken the bag off and swapped the bag around to something else so that I could have more seeds saved. Alright guys, so check this out. This plant is loaded down. Got a cluster there. Focus that in a little better. Alright, so we've got a cluster there, cluster down here, cluster down there. Just everywhere. Then up top here, this one has a cluster there. Few right there. And then up here it's got even, up here it's got even more. This tomato plant has several as well. Look at all of these clusters on here. There's one there. Down here. Up here. It's just absolutely amazing how many fruits I've already got on these plants. Look at this one. All of the clusters on this plant. This one I actually took a paper towel roll. I know it looks kind of funny, but hey, use what you can, right? It was falling over and I used that paper towel roll to support it. I'm gonna have to have more support for it, but that was just until I could get more dowels. But there are tomatoes all over this one as well. This one they're a little harder to see because this is a couple of different plants wrapped up into one. This orange hat has a couple of good clusters going on. This one has several as well. And you probably see this right here on the plant. You do see some damage there. That is where a branch or a sucker was ripped off. Either or. Those little nodules are where roots are trying to grow. So that was probably just where it had been wet and water was on the stem. So it was trying to grow a few little roots there. I'm just absolutely amazed at the sheer number of tomatoes that I have on this little tomato tower. I'm still waiting for a ripe one. This one is the one I'm waiting for right here. It's starting to turn, so it won't be much longer. There are just tons of tomatoes all over this one. There's a tiny little cluster here. There's a cluster there, more clusters over here. They're just all over the place. This one is probably going to be one of the most productive. Just cannot wait to see what all of these little tomatoes taste like. In the first video that I showed you guys, like I said, this thing is about the size of a medium dog. You can tell these pots aren't very big, especially considering I have small hands. If you want a better comparison, this is my little goji berry start, but this is a 4-inch pot, so each of these is probably 4 inches. Each of these little pots is 4 inches individually, so together they're probably only about 10 inches at their widest point. And I would have to say the whole tower is roughly a foot tall, so it's actually super small. It's a super tiny amount of space, and I'm getting all of these tomatoes. So if you have not thought about a micro dwarf tomato tower, I cannot stress how amazing this little thing has been and how much fun it's been to grow.